At some point in their training, a Jedi Padawan will have learned everything they can from their master. When that day comes, they would prepare to undergo the trials of knighthood. These trials consisted of 5 challenges with varying levels of difficulty, which, upon completion, would allow them to ascend to the rank of Jedi Knight. Today, we're going over them all. This is every single Jedi trial explained. Trial of Skill. While many tasks within the Trial of Skill are physical, the truth in this trial hinges on a Jedi's ability to maintain self-discipline in the face of distraction. Possibly the most recognizable of the 5 Jedi trials, the Trial of Skill is designed to measure a Padawan's martial ability through mastery of the lightsaber and combat maneuvers. Here, a Jedi needs to prove they can act with focus and control without being reckless. Victory in these duels was not always the goal of the trial. Lightsaber combat is grounded in the discipline of control. Each trial is different for each initiate. Some trials may have individuals outlast the Jedi Battlemaster in a session that may span hours. The logic behind that challenge is that aching fatigue provides exactly the kind of challenge to a Jedi's focus this trial serves to test. There is also the chance to face multiple opponents at once. A duel with one Jedi while another manipulates your perceptions or shifts the floor tiles beneath your feet, or even a duel against a Jedi High Council member. The latest feature in the Jedi trial chambers is actually a holographic projector, capable of creating enemies from the air itself, including notorious Sith from the past. None of these challenges are meant to be unfair, but are rather meant to mimic challenges Jedi may face as a Knight of the Jedi Order. Trial of Courage. While the Trial of Skill aims to measure one's physical ability, the Trial of Courage works to assess a Jedi's soul. This trial is meant to test a Jedi's willingness to face fear and danger without succumbing to hesitation or despair. This trial requires conviction and a willingness to act, especially in the face of uncertainty. While Jedi will be made aware of what the Trial of Skill may have in store for them, the Trial of Courage is intentionally hidden from Jedi initiates. This trial is rarely staged or artificially constructed such that true courage is presented and not faked. Often, the Trial of Courage would be passed through a Padawan's record on the battlefield or on past missions as proof of courage. Notably, Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi passed his Trial of Courage by defeating Darth Maul on Naboo. Often facing overwhelming odds in fierce conflicts, confronting a Sith, or volunteering for a seemingly impossible task were all considered sufficient for the trial. The key lesson for this trial was to act despite the presence of fear. After all, fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. Jedi who feel nothing in the face of danger are not courageous, but instead tend to be reckless, while those who can consider fear and can move forward regardless of it embody the true spirit of the Order. Trial of Spirit. Where other trials may force a Jedi to overcome pain or exhaustion, the Trial of Spirit compels them to face their inner darkness. This trial is most noticeable from the sheer amount of meditation that the Padawan undergoes. This trial aims to help Padawans be at peace with their grief, shame, revenge, and all other emotions that center on the self. A Jedi is an agent of the Force, not an agent of themselves. During their meditations, Jedi would often enter a trance within the temple's meditation chambers or be led into visions by their masters. In these visions, the Force might confront them with manifestations of their own inner turmoil. The Force moves differently around each person, so each trial of the Spirit is unique to each Padawan. It might be that some Jedi face those they care about in peril, while others may see themselves falling to the dark side, and others may relive past trauma. It was a Padawan's job to confront and overcome these challenges. Passing the Trial of Spirit meant that an initiate understood their own darkness and acknowledged their flaws without being ruled by them. Trial of Flesh. For many Padawans, the trial of flesh is the most difficult of the knighthood trials, and indeed, it was actually the most brutal of all Jedi trials. This trial tests a Padawan's ability to endure great suffering, including physical pain, emotional loss, or personal sacrifice. The core tenet of the trial of flesh is to divorce the self from the spirit. Often during wars, the Jedi Council viewed battle as a living expression of the trial of flesh. Any Padawans who survived a war injury passed this trial on the evidence of their scars. It was thanks to Count Dooku that a Padawan Anakin Skywalker would pass the trial of flesh, losing his arm in their encounter on Geonosis. Before seeing battle as expressions of this trial, it was originally ritualized, involving physical endurance tests to expose a Padawan to injury or deprivation. Don't mistake this though. These tests were not like your typical fitness test in gym class. The initiate trials would subject Padawans to torments of cold, cuts, sonic shocks, and even the administration of low-powered sustained blaster fire, something that smugglers call the burning. As you can imagine, the Jedi Order would consider this barbarianism, and with the rise of galactic conflicts, the Jedi Council began to recognize that nearly every Jedi would inevitably experience deep wounds. The trial of flesh also included the loss of comrades, and even the severance of the connection between the Padawan and their master. Many Jedi did not pass this trial by choice, but rather they would end up surviving situations they could not avoid. The trial of flesh was about rising above pain and loss, which would otherwise give rise to fear, anger, and the desire for vengeance, all emotions that lead toward the dark side. Trial of Insight. The last test that was formalized into the trials of knighthood was the Trial of Insight. This trial focused on perception and wisdom, a test of a Jedi's ability to see beyond deception, illusions, or appearances. In the book The Jedi Path, Darth Sidious leaves an annotation criticizing this fact and rightfully pointing out, "Insight? We Sith grew right under their noses." Challenges included locating a single grain of sand within a field of stones, determining the content and meaning of a fragmentary text from scattered pieces, and solving any of the high riddles of Duardi without being able to research them beforehand. At times, the trial may be seen as relatively simple, whereas other times the challenge would be far more profound. It demanded that Padawans grasp truths about themselves or the galaxy at large that were not immediately obvious. The Trial of Insight helped Jedi reveal a clarity of mind previously unknown to the Padawans going through the trial. Jedi were taught to trust their intuition, not just the senses available to them like sight and sound, something that Count Dooku undoubtedly mastered, being able to take on a team of Night Sister assassins sent to kill him with his senses numbed. It's quite often that Jedi would pass more than one trial at once. There is one record of 3 Padawans during their trial of skill through a perceptual trick. All of them were made to believe they faced a horde of angry warriors. One battled on in the face of certain defeats and passed her trial of courage, while another saw through the deception and passed the trial of insight. These trials were made to formalize a previously messy process of recognizing a Jedi's progress within the Force. That said, there are still cases when Padawans can become knights while bypassing some or even all of the Jedi trials. Some special instances to grant clearance of the Trial of Skill included Padawans who have bested a battle master during sparring, or who have demonstrated blindfolded mastery of the training exercise called Thalos Cadences. For the Trial of Courage, there could be many instances that warrant special passage, such as Padawans who have succeeded in a difficult mission, or who have saved the lives of their masters. For the Trial of Spirit, Padawans shown to have mastered their own dark side may be judged to have passed this trial without undergoing any formal test. For the Trial of Flesh, any kind of significant pain and loss can be considered a worthy demonstration of the trial. Even initiates recruited later in life, having experienced the pain of loss or having come to terms with leaving their family, could be considered worthy of passing this trial. Finally, for the trial of insight, any Jedi demonstrating wisdom beyond their years and training could count as a pass, particularly if they avoided violence in a particularly tense situation. The Jedi Council can also choose to promote any Jedi for any reason, or refuse such a promotion should judgment warrant it. This often occurred during galactic conflicts, like the Clone Wars, when Padawans were promoted to Knight in a rushed manner to get more soldiers into the battlefield. Unfortunately, this wasn't always the best situation, as it also often led many unprepared Jedi into the heart of conflict, such as Nadar Veb. But that does it for all of the Jedi trials. Which do you think you'd pass the easiest? Let us know in the comments.